everyone, Crystal here. In thinking about this week's readings, I really appreciated Ting Toomey and Chung's chapter in Understanding Intercultural Communication, and a big reason for that is I feel like a lot of the pieces that were covered were very practical. So thinking about my work with students and planning pre-departure sessions or trainings, I feel like a lot of the definitions and things that were included would be very relevant for the students and also relatively easy to kind of grasp and understand. So in thinking about using the U or the W models, I think that helps to give a language to the different stages that students might go through or the feelings that they might experience. So that's something that I could see myself using and incorporating into pre-departure sessions and post-return when students come back from their trips abroad. But a couple others that I felt were very relevant were the ABCs of culture shock. So being able to give kind of a language to it. So how culture shock can affect somebody affectively, whether they experience confusion or anxiety or maybe a desire to be somewhere else. B, behaviorally, so someone might be confused about the local culture's norms or rules. And C, cognitively, someone might have a lack of competence or might think that something is bizarre because they don't necessarily know the background behind it. I think that that's a good kind of framework to be able to provide students with before they're traveling with abroad, and also for me to be reflecting on as well. And then another that I thought was really helpful in reading through the chapter was the bit on cultural distance factors. So that can include the differences in cultural values, language, verbal styles, nonverbal gestures, learning styles, decision-making styles, conflict negotiation. That's all on page 96 of Understanding Intercultural Communication. And the part that I thought was particularly interesting, or kind of, it's simplistic, but it was kind of an aha moment for me, was when they pointed out that someone's perception might affect kind of their experience. So they said that interestingly, however, when sojourners expect low cultural distance, they may actually encounter more intercultural frustration. So if somebody assumes that their culture might be relatively similar, so for the example that was given here where British folks dealing with Aussies in Australia, they might actually experience more kind of frustration. And I thought that assumed similarity was something that was very interesting to think about. And I can think back to my experiences when I was working in New Zealand, and working with students didn't go as planned in some kind of aspects. I'm running a little bit low on time, so if you have questions about that, let me know, and I'm happy to chat more. But in thinking about a question, when I went through and looked at the W model, I kind of chuckled when I was reading about the humor section, both because I myself have kind of committed some cultural faux pas, and also I feel like when I got to a certain stage, I was able to, kind of laugh when others might be doing something that I would have normally taken offense to before. So for example, my host mother, when I was studying abroad in Indonesia, after several months of living with her, she looked at me one day and said, "Crystal, you've gotten very fat." And I might have taken offense to that initially, without understanding kind of the context behind it, and that's actually a very